Ladies and gentlemen, it is lightning round here. Fantasy Alert YouTube, Better Sports Network. Kevin Tompkins, Andrew Cooper, Britt Flinn has made her way from the Noogs in Chattanooga. What's up, gang?
Yeah, I mean, what a great week, except for last night. I'm very mad at Kyle Shanahan. I'm writing him a strongly worded letter about the usage of Brandon Ayuk in the second half. But other than that, I am fantastic. Coop, how are you?
I'm doing awesome, man. Lots of fantasy points, and not to mention some recent news may or may not have unlocked some young tight ends, something that we'll get into today. So, yeah, all good things right now. All we need right now, the only thing in this world we need is we need Treylon Burks to come back and be awesome, and then the universe will be healed, right, Britt?
He's supposed to practice this week. He's leaning towards it. Yep. I know. I'm not getting too excited.
But it
is trending in the right direction.
He had a hand injury, right? That's why he had so many drops.
He doesn't have drops.
I mean, I'd be more excited for him if he wasn't in purgatory known as Tennessee Titans, but
Hopkins will get traded, and then it'll be wheels up.
Yes. Anytime you can trade AJ Brown and then insert Treylon Burks and then go pick up DeAndre Hopkins, I mean, you got to do it with a quarterback that may or may not even be playing this week, because it could be Malik Willis or possibly Will Levis, per some reports that have come out today. So interesting, to say the least.
Rex, good afternoon.
Good morning,
Congrats
Rex.
on your big win. 9-0 in his big leagues this week.
Yeah, I saw the Binky posted too on Sunday.
Dang, yeah. Rex. Dude, this is a big week for Fantasy Alarm members, dude. Shout out Gabe in the chat. Shout out Albert. We had a bunch of people win big in DFS too, including John and Pemba, who, he makes some of the picks, so he should be winning. I don't know how I'm out here making picks and I'm not winning the damn thing, but the people using our picks made a bunch of money. Dude. Crazy week. Yeah. Thousands of dollars.
Yeah, I am so sick of playing the Rams premium doubles with Stafford, Puka, and Cooper Kupp, because last week Cooper Kupp went off. This week Puka went off. I am so sick and tired of playing all three of them. So I think I'm retired from playing three Rams in a DFS lineup.
Yeah, well, this is when they go off then, when you step out. So thank you for your sacrifice. I will say I said it on these shows on the radio. I did not expect to see many games where Puka would get double the targets of Cooper Kupp. I figured we would see some games where they both go off, or games where just Cooper Kupp went off.
That was the thesis.
I didn't, yeah, but no, it's kind of the worst case for scenario, worst case for fantasy, right? Just who knows now. Awesome.
It's like it's Seattle adjacent, where you readily see the Lockett, Metcalf both go off. It's one or the other, and now you got to make like the Sophie's choice of which one goes off.
Who knows? Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah.
So good.
Well. That's the beauty of fantasy football, is we literally just don't know. But we're going to be going into some of the things, we played this last year on Lightning Round, and we're going to bring it back. We'll trust or dust today with some volatile fantasy football assets. We'll be doing that. But first, let's get in some of the questions, because they're starting to get locked and loaded here. Let's go right to Gabe, the Babe. Happy Tuesday, team. Appreciate you spending your lunch hour with us. Half PPR, 10 person. Am I crazy for considering starting Nico, London, Rashee Rice over Pittman and Amari Cooper this week based on matchups? I could make the case for Amari Cooper. In that case, I'd probably start Nico Collins over Amari Cooper. Just that Browns quarterback situation is not one I want to be a part of at this point. I want to completely disassociate myself in any way, shape, or form with Deshaun Watson or PJ Walker. But what do you guys think?
The thing is, with Pittman's matchup, he's got Marshawn Lattimore, right? And Lattimore oddly does pretty well against the bigger wide receivers. Gives Mike Evans trouble, gave Nico Collins trouble. So I don't know. It could be tough for Pittman there. I'm not opposed to that either. Rashee Rice gets the Broncos, so almost got to get him in there. And now,
as long as they don't have Jordan Love at quarterback, I think they'll be fine.
Not only is Justin Watson likely out, he was out this week, but now Justin Ross, I'm not sure if you guys saw the news, but he got booked on. At first, they were saying property damage, and now they're saying domestic battery. And with that on there, I can't see. Usually they take that pretty seriously. So the Chiefs might actually have to consolidate the wide receivers for once. So I do like Rice. Who does London get? Who do the Falcons have? I forgot that one.
I haven't even looked this week.
Those Fighting Arthur Smiths get the Tennessee Titans.
No.
Yeah, pass funnel.
Yeah, I could do that. I could go Nico.
Well, Arthur Smith is smart. He is a billionaire trust fund baby. He's smarter than the rest of us, so they will just go right into the teeth with Tyler Algier.
It's just Arthur Smith needs to be jailed federally. Call the FBI. But yeah, I honestly, even if Pittman's matchup is good, the usage that we've seen out of Josh Downs has been so great with Gardner Minshew, even against the Browns. Like, I had to start Downs in a couple of leagues, and I'm glad that I did. In the leagues that I didn't have to start him, I didn't. Who would have thought that over-under would have almost doubled or did double by the end of the game? I mean, that was absolutely insane. And so if they can get it done against the Browns, especially with Downs not trying to rhyme, then Pittman might be the odd man out.
Right. And the crazy thing about Downs is it could get even better if they finally just say, okay, you know what? This guy deserves to be out there for every snap. And Alec Pierce, we're tired of having him running around doing whatever. And that actually flips. I mean, we've been talking about it all year. It could happen at some point, right? Like we're seeing, out of nowhere, Michael Mayer just got more snaps than Austin Hooper. They just said, hey, you know what? We're flipping it. And if that ever happens, dude, Downs could be even better. He's been good, but it's like these other guys. Pierce played every snap. He ran 34 routes. Josh Downs ran 28. I mean, a couple more routes is another target here or there, and that makes all the difference.
Yeah, no, I believe I've seen that Josh Downs has not played one snap this season in 2 wide receiver sets.
I know.
Like not one. And he's still running 8% of the routes last 5 weeks. So look, Josh Downs is top 24 wide receiver going forward. Like not since the days of like T.Y. Hilton. And I mean, I'm trying to think of like who else. We haven't had 2 Colts wide receivers that we could comfortably start. I mean, most weeks Pittman can be started, certainly Marshawn Lattimore. That matchup is tough, but like we actually have 2 options now to start on the Colts, which is pretty damn good. It helps to have Gardner Minshew. I mean, the 2 worst games that Downs had were with Anthony Richardson. So
not since it's basically Reggie Wayne and Marvin Harrison all over again.
Yeah. Anthony Gonzalez.
That's right. And Gardner Minshew is Peyton Manning.
Well, and Shane Steichen really likes. Oh my God.
But we still rank Pittman ahead of Josh Downs the rest of the season, though, right?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
I think so too.
He's in the teens. And you know what?
Britt didn't say yes right away there. Britt didn't say yes. Britt?
I don't know, because I feel like Josh Downs is the exact type of receiver that Shane Steichen loves, because he's super shifty. He can go outside if he needs to go outside. I know that he hasn't, but he can. And the target volume that he's getting from Minshew makes me feel like, oh, this rookie and this backup work together in the preseason. They actually built a little bit more of a rapport maybe than Minshew and Michael Pittman did. So I don't know. I'm not 100%.
I think
dogs are agreeing.
An argument could be made in full PPR, I would say, for Downs. In half PPR standard, I would definitely go Pittman just because he runs higher A-dot routes. I mean, we saw it, he's got with a 75-yard touchdown, but in PPR, Downs has been so consistent. I mean, last 3 games, five receptions, 6 receptions.
Yep. 13 plus fantasy points in the last 3 games. So can't beat that. By the way, I will circle back real quick to the Arthur Smith thing. Like, how great is it that of all the things that could bind us together, it would be the our mutual disgust for Arthur Smith on social media on Sunday afternoon that would bring us all together.
It's beautiful.
I mean, did he solve world peace?
Basically, yeah. Him and Johnny Smith, dude, they brokered an agreement where they would just they said, you can put the blame on me. And now we all united against one common enemy. It is beautiful.
Yeah.
The thing with him saying it at halftime, well, he wasn't feeling like himself today. Okay. If he woke up on Sunday morning and felt bad, that's one thing. Then it came out that he actually wasn't feeling well on Saturday night.
Yeah.
And he still wasn't on the injury report. That's where the big, like, red flag, no, flashing sign happens. If you knew about this on Saturday night then you should have put him on the injury report for a possible illness. Because not only does this affect our fantasy teams, which I know he does not care about, he's said multiple times that he doesn't care about, but it affects betting.
Yep.
And as big as betting has been getting in the NFL, Vegas is not very happy with it. I think that one site completely negated all of the wagers placed on Bijan because they knew that that situation was shady and unfair. I hope that the rest of them, I hope that the rest of them continue to do that because what Arthur Smith did was just not beneficial to the sport as a whole.
Yeah, I know Underdog had the higher lower special with Bijan Robinson, the 0.5 total yards, and that was dicey till he got like the 1 3-yard carry that, you know, put it over. But they had paid out those winners before that. But like, if he's not feeling well, why are you having him pass block? Like,
yeah, because he was out there pass blocking. It was insane.
The thing is with this is that we've seen it before, and the NFL is going to review it, and it's going to be a fine probably. I've seen it. Big Ben Roethlisberger it was like he wasn't listed on the injury report, and then he missed a game, and they fined the team like $100,000. Mike Tomlin got fined personally money, but it's like the penalties aren't that stiff for it. So I don't know. Maybe they just
take a pick away,
right? But here's the thing. Why is it that high? It was obviously a mistake on their part because it's not that hard to just put the guy in the injury report. What's the downside?
It's like they're trying to get some like weird competitive advantage, I suppose. Like that would be the only thing.
And what are you getting a competitive advantage out of Cordero Patterson? Like, come on.
Right. It's like, you know, here's a big secret. We're going to use worse players, right? Like, gotcha.
Oh, we're going to give a carry to Keith Smith instead.
Right. So that's the thing is that it's not that hard. Just they should have listed him as questionable, and they didn't do it. They messed up, and it's probably going to cost them $100,000.
Yeah. Let's get to Brandon here. What do I do with Charbonnet? Drop Tajay Spears or Singletary or hold? I mean, if you're able, if you need production, I think Singletary has worked himself into more of a committee than we all thought he would with Dameon Pierce. Tajay Spears is really more of a contingent play at this point. Derrick Henry hasn't looked like Derrick Henry of old, but I think Tajay Spears still has a little bit to go to be kind of a standalone play in the vein of a Jaylen Warren. Charbonnet's tough because Kenneth Walker has been pretty good this season. And he's worked himself into some receiving work, but it's like the DJ Dallas, it really doesn't matter receiving work, you know, in the grand scheme of things in Seattle. So, I mean, if you need the production, I'd be swapping him out for Singletary. If you have a little bit of leeway or you have another drop or something like that, you know, I'd be dropping maybe someone else, but I get it. I mean, it's week 8. You got to pare down the roster. You got to get guys that are playing. You got to get guys that are producing. So what do you guys think?
And right now there's a group of guys that are all in the same boat where it's like, there's a guessing game on top of the guessing game. It's Antonio Gibson. It's Jerick McKinnon. It's Tajay Spears, where they only play in certain game scripts. So first you need to guess that you're going to get the game script that requires the 2-minute drill. And then you need to guess that they're actually going to do something with the work. So it's like the double guessing game. But I will say this for Tajay Spears compared to those other guys is he has, you know, they all have the out of the handcuff, right? If the starter gets hurt, then you get that out. But he has the additional out of the Derrick Henry trade rumors, right? So now on top of that, you got a potential trade or an injury unleashes him versus Charbonnet, which at this point is starting to look like only an injury is going to move the needle for him. So I think I'm with Kev. If you need somebody in your lineup now, Singletary is probably the best bet because Singletary is actually getting carries in the last time he just flat out got more carries, right? Yeah. Like in any game script, which they won, which was a good game script. So he has the benefit of being viable in any game script, whereas Spears needs a specific game script. But Charbonnet, he's been viable, period, right?
Yeah, it's 5 points, 4 points every week, consistently. I mean, and it sucks because he's very talented. His yards per carry look good. They just haven't given him the snaps. And so at this point, if you're looking for somebody, again, just echoing you guys, the trade rumors with Derrick Henry, I would kind of lean Spears, but we all know how rumors work. So if you need somebody to slot in your lineup immediately, then go Singletary. If you're looking forward, especially against that Houston Texans matchup in weeks 15 and 17, for your playoffs. If you're looking for a stash, that's when I lean Spears.
Yeah. Charbonnet is like the ace high if we're equating this to poker, but Tajay Spears is the open-ended straight draw. Like it could get both ways. It's about it's the best scenario I could think of here. But good the chat is absolutely hopping. Of course, Scampers, Chris Sellers, Tom Lackland. We will get to our trust and dust, of course, but we want to get to your questions first. Of course, would you trade Kamara and Rice for Eckler half-point PPR? I mean, Kamara's giving you more through receiving than Eckler is right now, and they get the added benefit of Rice. So I know it's Eckler. Howard Bender has gone on record with the scheme that the Chargers have, certainly employed and switched to Kellen Moore versus Joe Lombardi in previous years. I mean, it might be a little bit, I don't want to say it's Jover for Eckler because it's certainly not, but I mean, what we had expected from Eckler in previous years to kind of try to bring that over to this year. Don't know if that's going to be as high upside. So I would actually keep Kamara and Rice.
Would you trade Kamara straight up for Eckler? I mean, because it's not that far off.
It's not as far off as it should.
Here are the best games by these players. Kamara, and this is PPR. Alvin Kamara, is this half PPR? Let's look at half PPR for these guys. We're talking Eckler has the best game with a 24.4 point game. The next 4 games are all Alvin Kamara. 23.3, 17.2, 14.9, 13.9. And then you have Eckler had 8.2. Then he had another game, 5.1. It's like you have one good game for Eckler. All 4 of the games from Kamara have been 13 or more points in that format. I mean, Kamara's been great.
And the fact that Joshua Kelly was mixing in against the Chiefs and that he was the one who got the touchdown really makes me worry. Really makes me worry about Eckler, because Eckler's big upside, especially in PPR, Coop's gone on record a million billion times saying that Eckler's never had a 1,000-yard rushing season. It's always been his receiving work. If they're not using him in the receiving game, which is mind-boggling to me, especially after losing Mike Williams, but that's a whole other topic. The fact remains that he's just not getting utilized in that receiving game, and Kamara is. And that's what you need. And then we'll talk about Rice a little bit later, but he's got some crazy major upside. So no, I think you're going name brand with Eckler and not actual snap based with that trade. So I would not do it.
And this is why Bender was out. And I think that Kellen Moore is kind of going over the top, is that when you fire an offensive coordinator, right? You fire Joe Lombardi and you bring in the new guy, and you go to the new guy and you say, hey, this is what the old guy was doing. We didn't like that, right? Justin Herbert was QB 34 last year among qualified QBs. And when I say qualified, I mean guys that started a minimum 5-6 games. So guys that played, right? Like half the season, guys that played. He was QB 34 in average depth of target last year. Now, part of it was the ribs, part of it was Joe Lombardi. But when you bring a new guy in, you say, okay, what did you not like? We didn't like this. Okay, now they're throwing the ball downfield more. And obviously the guy that's going to hurt most is Austin Eckler. So there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Bing, bang, bong. Let's see here. Hal, I have DJ Moore, Chase, Olave, Ridley. It's freaking Olave. Yeah, that's another thing too. Chris Olave, was speeding, or I believe like 35 over the speed limit or something like that. So
it was.
New York Post reported it was 70 and a 30.
Yeah.
And then his brother responded to the report saying that he was just coming home from a CVS. It wasn't nothing serious. And I'm like, if it wasn't anything serious, why the hell were you going 70 and a 30 in a residential area?
Say you had a dog emergency like Jordan Addison, it'd be fine.
Well, and that also wasn't in a residential area. Right. That was like on a highway.
Yeah, I mean, certain states, I imagine there are certain states that have laws that say if you're traveling twice the speed limit, you have to get towed and booked. So that's probably the case where he is. That's the rule on the books. If you're driving 120 and a 60, you get booked, or if you're driving 70 and a 35. But I don't know. There are some 35, 45 mile an hour speed limit roads around here where I see people going pretty damn fast. You know what I mean? Route 1, a lot of stretches of Route 1, I see people driving like it's the highway when the speed limit is actually 40. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I could see both sides of it, but the reality is you look around this league at Jordan Addison and God forbid Henry Ruggs, you got to be smarter. You got to be smarter, man. So that's anytime I see that, the first thing I think about is who's this guy's agent, right? Like, wake up, dude. You got one job. Your one job is to go to these guys and say, hey, this is how you get in huge trouble. These are the major mistakes that are going to cost us both millions of dollars. That's one. Don't drive like an idiot. I know you have a cool car, right? It's easy to go fast in these ridiculous cars, but come on now.
Right. Olave news for Rex has scared him. Thoughts on starting Osborne or Gabe Davis with a better matchup over him? I mean, we still got a lot to parse through whether he's going to be playing or not. So I think it's early in the week where we'll still have a lot to figure out and sort out. But
the answer is you start Olave versus the Colts.
Yeah.
If he plays.
And then I think I'd probably start Osborne versus the Packers over Gabe Davis against Tampa, who the strength of Tampa's defense is their outside corners. So
dude, Gabe Davis is dust now, man. Dalton Kincaid is free, bro. Dalton Kincaid's going to get like 25 targets. Don't even worry about it. Don't even worry about it, dude. It's not a big deal. Gabe Davis.
Let's talk about Dalton Kincaid, because I had made this, we'll peek behind the curtain. I made this previous to the Dawson Knox news where he'll be out for at least a couple weeks, I believe I saw. So Dalton Kincaid, trust or dust, it's looking pretty good for the old Rook.
Yeah. I mean, gotta say, you gotta say trust just because, if Knox was playing, then we could say dust because they split the snaps. They're doing a similar role, but we saw this week. And the thing is with the wrist, it's not, it was aggravated this week, but he's had that wrist issue for a couple weeks now, right? It's not a brand new thing. Probably having to make too many tackles on Josh Allen arm punts. But, Kincaid came out. The thing is, he came out and responded with catching 8 of 8 balls. And when you go out and have a week like that, there's games where you get 8 targets and catch 2 of them or none of them if you're Jameson Williams. And then there's games where you come out and you catch all 8. And the more you do that, the more they're going to go to you. You know what I mean? Like, I look at it, anytime I see a guy catch every single one of his passes, my first question is, why didn't this guy get more passes? Right? Do it until they stop it. So for me, it's like you're going to go out and lose the game when you got this guy that's catching everything that comes his way. Come on, especially to a team that I am rooting for to lose. Come on, Patriots, wake up. So yeah, Dalton Kincaid, man, I say at this point with no Knox, I'm just throwing him in lineups where I got him because it's ugly out there. And just the possibility this guy could be a top 2 target on a team like the Bills, you're not going to get better.
Yeah, and the snaps have always been the thing, right? Like he's splitting snaps with Knox. That's been the deal. As much as we heard that they were going to run 12 personnel, they've only done it like a handful of times, and they've just kind of rotated people in and out. I think now, with this catch, with the Dawson Knox injury, it's the perfect storm of just everything coming together. And he's finally learning this offense. As it gets colder as well, we have to think that the deep balls aren't going to be as big of a factor, especially in Buffalo. They will be like in domes and in warmer cities and things like that. But in games in Buffalo, the deep ball is not going to be as easy to make for like Gabe Davis. So he's going to be checking it down to like James Cook, to Dalton Kincaid, those short and intermediate routes. Kincaid is a known pass catcher. Preseason, the best pass catcher in the entire draft, not just out of tight ends, but out of wide receivers. And we just saw what Jordan Addison did last night. Okay. So that's really saying a huge, huge thing, saying that he's the best pass catcher. So I think going forward, I mean, you've got to dump a ton of fab on him to grab him. If not, with the Zach Ertz news, let's make a contingency bet on Trey McBride because that kid is jumping out too.
I love that. Yeah. Try and get Kincaid. And if you can't, whatever you got for fab, take a little off it and throw it on there, Britt. I'm doing the same thing. I mean, and to your point about pass catching, Dawson Knox this year has 27 targets and he has 15 receptions. So I don't know if it's the wrist or what, but he's not catching the damn ball. Dalton Kincaid has 26 targets, virtually the same, very similar. You know how many receptions he has on 26 targets?
22.
25.
Okay. Even better.
Yeah. For everything that hasn't, that's Pro Football Focus where sometimes they'll take obvious throwaways and not count them, but they basically say this guy's got 26 catchable balls. He's got 25 of them. So, and again, no drops, right? And the thing is, he only has 1 contested target. Dawson Knox has 5 contested targets, and he has caught 0 of them. Why don't we see if this guy Kincaid can catch the ball in traffic, dude? It's like he's catching everything else. Why don't you just give him a shot? So I'm hoping that it all goes up. He's got 7 missed tackles. Dawson Knox has 1. They're kind of been forcing Dawson Knox on us. We see it all the time. And now I'm hoping Kincaid can take that job and never give it back. Amon-Ra St. Brown, his rookie year, you look at him, he was doing nothing. It took like 7 injuries for him to get the role, a change in play calling as well. And all of a sudden he took that and he's never given it back. And that's what we're hoping for Dalton Kincaid here. So let's go.
Yeah. For a team that's so starved for a wide receiver too, like a legit, or at least a second pass catcher, because Gabe Davis has been just so hit or miss. They want to throw every other slot receiver out there, like Shakir and the corpse of Trent Sherfield and all that. Like, I don't understand why they haven't given Dalton Kincaid more of a shot. Like,
yeah. Let's hit these Kincaid. We got a couple Kincaid questions in the chat here. So you guys, I'll recuse myself from this question. But what do you guys think on Taysom Hill or Dalton Kincaid? I'm clearly incapable of being unbiased on such a question. But.
Well, yeah, and Juwan Johnson, there's hoping that he's going to come back this week. That's been the latest news. Yeah. So definitely Kincaid.
Yeah. Rod Elliott says that he did put a claim in on Kincaid for contingency bets. The other options are Njoku, Everett, or McBride. I'll tell you right now, Everett, you don't want to do that, man. No. He's hurt right now. And he also, this guy, going back to last year, even with Mike Williams out, even with Keenan Allen out. Last year, Mike Williams and Keenan Allen played 2 games together, 2 full games. The other games were one of them got hurt, one of them, played a partial share. Gerald Everett, even then, only played over 70% of the snaps in 2 games. This guy's a part-time player, man. So, and even now, part-time player, and now he's banged up. So I'm going to take Everett right out of the question there. Njoku versus McBride is a little bit more interesting because the usage for Njoku recently has been tremendous. 72 of 75 snaps this week. He ran 38 of 40 routes. So he's out there, man, and he's getting targets, dude. Ever since he burned his hands and face, they're just giving him the ball.
Just a new life for David Njoku.
They're just like, this guy's a dog. He's like a phoenix, dude. He's rising from the ashes of whatever. I don't even know what happened.
More teams are adopting this strategy with their tight ends to varied success.
Yeah. Seriously, somebody got to take a blowtorch. That's why Dawson Knox on IR. They took a blowtorch over to his house to clean up some of those drops, But yeah, fire pit accident. That's what it was. So yeah, I mean, like crazy though. He's come out of it, and part of my speculation on it, honestly, is that the first game after David Njoku burned his hands and burned his face and had all the burns, the first game he didn't block on a single pass play. I think they turned and said, hey, you know what? Instead of having this guy with the burns get all beat up in the trenches blocking, we're just going to use him in this capacity. And since then, they've kind of said, you know what? Like, this guy's helping the team. He's catching 6-7 balls. So I might still have Njoku over McBride. I know McBride's fun. It's exciting. What do you guys think? Do you go with the exciting new mystery box, or do you go with the guy that's been kind of solid?
I'm going with McBride, especially the fact that Kyler Murray might return soon. I like that better because I'm very worried about the quarterback situation in Cleveland. Deshaun Watson did not look good whatsoever. I know that they haven't ruled him out, and they said that they only kept him out to take it easy on him. But dude, he's your starting quarterback. Your $270 million guaranteed quarterback. Like, what are you doing holding him out for precautionary reasons if he can go back out and help you in a close game? Putting PJ Walker out there in a very back and forth close game tells me that you don't trust Deshaun Watson. And that to me means that I don't necessarily trust Njoku.
Yeah, John and Pemba has been speculating that Watson's going kind of full Kawhi Leonard here, where he's just doesn't trust the staff, the medical staff at all. And it just said, I'm going to take my own advice. I'm going to go by how I feel. And if he doesn't feel ready to go, he doesn't care if they clear him or not. Kev, on the Ertz versus Njoku, where do you live on? Sorry, yeah, Njoku versus McBride. Yeah, sorry about that. Where do you live on that?
Probably slightly leaning McBride, but I'm a little worried. They've got Baltimore and Cleveland coming up. Kyler, I want to say Kawhi because you just mentioned it, but Kyler Murray has also activated his window to return as well. So we'll see if that's probably more of a week 10 thing. They do play Atlanta and have some exploitable matchups, Houston, Rams, and Steelers before their late week 14 bye. So then they got San Francisco, Chicago, Philly, which is tough. I mean, yeah, that's just the quarterback situation in Cleveland that spooks me because I want to say Njoku just, for the usage that he's getting, but McBride, I got to go McBride.
The way I look at it is that like, if you're somebody that only ever rosters one tight end and you don't want to like be bouncing around waivers, adding guys, stashing guys, then just go with Njoku. He's already had his bye week. He's fairly safe. But if you're like us and you're making moves all the time and you're chasing upside, then go with Trey McBride because he's obviously the mystery box. And sometimes you let these guys out of the bottle and they never go back in. Like Zach Ertz, he might, if he comes back, he might just be veteran hanging out, veteran coach on the field. So I see both sides of it. You got to decide what kind of a gamer you are.
Yeah, I have multiple leagues where I have 2 or 3 of McBride, Mayer, Kincaid, and Musgrave. Like I am literally who is going to be the first mole that pops up. Basically, that's where I'm at.
And that's the thing with Njoku, he's already has bye. You have him all year. With McBride, you're going to get Ertz is going to come back week 12, and then week 14 he's got a bye week. So with McBride, you have to continue to think about the tight end position. So just keep that in mind.
Let us continue our trust and dust because we are half an hour into the show and we've only hit one of these. We will hit these questions that we have piling up here too. No worries there. But Javonte Williams, I think, is very interesting. We obviously knew that when he had no limitations in training camp, we thought that he would be kind of wheels up. We know somehow JP Ryan would be involved, but you had to figure by probably now the thesis would be Javonte Williams is all systems go. Fast forward to week 8 now, and now we have Jaleel McLaughlin out of Youngstown State working his way in. Somehow JP Ryan is still kind of there, but Javonte's still kind of being managed. Are you trusting him, or is he just dust right
now? I'll just jump in first. I'll say that he's dust for now, just because I don't necessarily know how healed that ACL is, and we talk about it all the time. The efficiency in year 1 coming back from an ACL is way down from year 2. Also, the whole Jaleel McLaughlin thing, I think we need to be more concerned about him at this point than we do P. Ryan. Who would have thought that a Youngstown State undrafted free agent rookie would be the guy over P. Ryan? Guess I need to revise my process in the offseason over that one.
I'll get you my FCS workbook after the show.
Yeah, but nevertheless, like he seems to be the guy. And I'm also just worried about the Broncos offense. They've been so just hit and miss. And some days they're good, some days they're bad. Like it's very low floor, mid ceiling. And that's something that I don't really want to rely on. So he's dust for now. If they can improve on a few things, then I'll start to trust him incrementally. He's like that bad ex that I'm like, okay, if you can like do this, then like maybe I'll start texting you again. That kind of situation.
Maybe I can fix him.
Yeah.
If I keep putting my lineup, maybe I could fix him. And honestly, I agree with pretty much everything Britt said, but I'm willing to say trust, because for me, I see the trend here, and it would have concerned me if Jaleel McLaughlin came out and played more snaps than Javonte again, like he did the week before. But this week, Jaleel fell on the back burner, even behind P-Rap, and Javonte got more than half the snaps to himself. He also, and if anyone actually watched that game, which God bless you, but I always try and watch as much of all the games as I can. He actually scored. Javonte Williams scored a touchdown, and there was kind of a ticky-tack holding penalty, right? He also had a nice run where he broke it for like 20 yards and looked like the Javonte Williams briefly of the past. And we've seen what Breece Hall has been able to do now that he's ramped up. I'm not saying it's going to be like Breece Hall because his knee injury was a bit worse, but at this point, if I have Javonte Williams, I look around at this running back landscape, and I think that if he's on my team, he's probably going to find his way in my lineup a lot of times, right? So I think I'm willing to trust him, but as Britt pointed out, it's speculative trust. Like I'm trusting my projection for him because what we're seeing right now isn't enough. So I'm trusting that it's going to keep getting ramped up. And if it doesn't, then I'm just going to be having dust in my lineup. And I got a lot of dust in my lineups a lot of weeks. So.
I'm not gonna say a word.
Hey, all
on
the dusty,
that, I've seen some lineups you put out.
The dusty wideouts are popping this year, dude. Dusty wideouts are back. 40-yard Mike Evans touchdown, dude. It's like he's playing like he's 28 years old again. Kev.
I know, right? Look, I've been maybe a bit convinced because I had Dust in there, but he had his best game of the season as far as fantasy points. I mean, he finally put up a double-digit fantasy point game. 5.5 yards per carry. Saw his most snaps. Saw his most routes. Like, hopefully, that's not just a 1 week blip, and this can go into they're playing Kansas City in week 8, and then they got their bye, and hopefully that could be some kind of trend going forward. But Samaje Perine does nothing for me. Jaleel McLaughlin still kind of has, he saw his worst as far as snaps and routes last week too. So I'm a little wary about him, even though he's probably been the most efficient running back of the trio. He's still clearly behind in the pecking order. So unless I see more from him, some more commitment from the Broncos on the McLaughlin train, I think Dust for now. I think I will co-opt Britt's statement with that. And by the way, since we were talking about Youngstown State, Hal asking where did Kareem Hunt go to college as a NCAA dynasty honk from years past, the Toledo Rockets, baby.
Of course.
There we go.
Of course he did.
That's
what I was going to say. And yeah, I think I did say so. Hal, what exactly did I say on that show? Because I did say something about if Stone Smart comes out and does something, I'll shotgun a beer. And because Stone starts my deep dynasty tight end roster cut, and now with Gerald Everett out, he ran 16 routes. Donald Parham only ran 12. So,
oh my God!
I think I said I was going to shotgun a strawberryta, dude.
Oh,
let me know. I got to go back and watch that, dude. It's so many shows and said so many stupid things. But yes, I will. I might have to go back on Fantasy and Frames if Stone Smart does something. I think it might just be a touchdown. Dude. Hal, if you remember, let me know.
At least it's not eating paper on camera.
Or eating
that makes me want to gag.
Who had to eat paper?
I think, isn't it Kevin who said that he will eat paper or something? I don't know. Anyway,
was that the Dalton Kincaid one with Kangas? There's that too. I think I said he would finish he would finish worse than tight end 12.
I don't even know. We'll have to go back and watch it.
One time, 2 years ago, I said that if Dan Arnold was a tight end 1, I would eat every piece of glass in this room. Which is a very safe bet to make. I did also have to eat an entire tomato like an apple on a show, which I do not like tomatoes. So that was pretty bad too. Do
an onion next time.
I like onion. That's the thing is I'd rather eat an onion like a tomato, like an apple than a tomato personally. Chat, where are you guys on that? Pick one, apple or onion.
We'll do trust or dust. You do apple, tomato, or onion.
Okay, yeah. Let's do another one, Kev. You got more, right?
Yeah. So we were talking about the Arizona Cardinals a little bit before, but Marquise Brown, I am apparently the differentiator here because I want to say trust a little bit just because of the amount of targets that he's getting. He's averaged 9 targets the last 4 games, but just the inefficiency of those targets with Marquise Brown, now with Josh Dobbs. Now they'll be breaking in Kyler Murray. You got to figure. And then they've got some tough matchups after their bye week. Tough matchups the next 2 games where Josh Dobbs is presumably starting. I don't know whether there's a chance that I'm putting Marquise line. If I have to start Marquise Brown in my lineup, then your hands are already kind of tied. But if I have options where maybe I don't have to play Marquise Brown, I don't know if there's a scenario where I'm I gotta fit Marquise Brown in my lineup this week. What do you guys think?
Look, the efficiency has been bad. I will give that to you. But he is still wide receiver 21 on the year in PPR leagues because of those targets. 15.1 fantasy points per game. Even let's take away those targets. Let's just say that he is doing this on his laurels. In standard, he's still wide receiver 21. I trust this guy. His usage is so just all over the place. I mean, well, not all over the place, but it's solid. And he's being used all over the field. That I trust this guy, especially with Kyler Murray coming back. And not only that, we thought that the Cardinals were going to crumble and just kind of fold and tank. They haven't been doing that. They've been fighting. They've been staying in some games where they should have been really, really blown out. Going forward, I think that I trust him. I don't really care about the inefficiency, the drops. If he's still where he is at wide receiver 21, I have no choice but to trust him.
Here's the thing. These only go one of two ways. So you got to make the bet. And they either go the way of this guy keeps getting the targets he's getting and he plays better, or they start throwing him the ball less and it's bad. And I'm with Britt that I think that when you look around that room, especially Zach Ertz now gone too, there's not really, as much as we like Mike Wilson and they like handing it off to Rondale Moore, there's not really a whole lot to swap them out with. So for me, I think that they're just going to keep going to him and he's going to have better weeks. So I'm with Brett. Most of my leagues are full PPR too, which makes it easier. But I can see, I don't know. Is he really just bad? That's the real question.
I don't think he's bad. I just don't think he's really like that good either. Like, I think he's fine. I think he's a good, like, low end. He's probably a mid-range wide receiver 3. I'd say for me, maybe you could say high end wide receiver 3 too. I just can't find a scenario where there's guys that are popping up like Josh Downs and these other guys that are going to be popping up as well, that I would rather start those guys over Marquise Brown. But I understand, the dude's getting tons of downfield looks. The dude's getting, like I said, 9 targets per game in his last 4. He's a regression candidate for sure. But I just don't know if that regression is going to be coming with they've got Baltimore and Cleveland. They've got winnable games, but they're also going to be breaking in Kyler Murray too for his return. So that's where I see some pause. Then they had the bye week and San Francisco. I'm not throwing him in a lineup if I have him, unless I have to in the fantasy playoffs with San Francisco and Philly in the semi and the championship.
You know what Marquise Brown is, man? You got to think about the way you play fantasy and the players that you go after. If you're somebody that is okay with Deontay Johnson, then you would like Marquise Brown. And if you watch Deontay Johnson and the stat lines he puts up and the way he plays, and you hate that, then you're not going to like Marquise Brown, because they're basically the same guy right now, just getting absolutely peppered with targets that they aren't catching, and they're not really a red zone threat either. So it's just like, well, he's on the path to like 100 million targets and 800 yards, which in my PPR leagues, I'm okay with.
Yeah, that's fair. Let's get to some of these questions. We will be building a showdown lineup as well for Buccaneers and Bills. Pierce and Singletary are available. Which one should I go after?
This
No.
one's tough. Yeah, I would say no. But they're basically 50-50 split. Pierce just hasn't been efficient. Singletary's getting more of the targets and honestly more of the carries.
And much more efficient.
Yeah. So I would look at him, but again, it just,
who else is out there?
Either of these guys. Yeah.
Is there any third string running back from another team available that you could potentially pick up instead?
Damian Williams out there.
Yeah. Fournette. Is Fournette available?
No. Hey, he's supposed to be announcing.
Yeah. I'm sure he's going to announce. I've seen this a million times, and I was like, oh yeah, I've tweeted out like, oh, he could hurt somebody's RB2. He's probably going to announce some deal that he's like,
he's bringing back the Albany Empire and paying Antonio Brown's debt.
He's probably going to announce he's like the Crunchwrap Supreme ambassador to Taco Bell or something. You know what I mean? Like that. I swear. Like half of these announcements, like Gronk did it too. And he's like, I got a crypto yacht club that we're doing. Right. It's like, something stupid. Right. We're going on a crypto cruise. You know what I mean? Like it's just
right.
Half the time it's an actual announcement. Usually what happens though is
join me Face Clan.
I always worry about I'm going to announce the announcement, because usually you just announce it. Usually you just say, I'm going to sign with this team. But if we want to speculate, I'm wondering if maybe the reason he didn't announce it was because the team was on bye this week and there was no reason to do it. So if that's the case, these were the teams that were on bye: Panthers, Bengals, Cowboys, Jets, Titans, Texans.
I've said for a while he's going to go to Dallas.
I know. I mean, they're using Tony Pollard so much. They could use, like, I know we want Tony Pollard to get 1 million touches, but it'd probably be good for the team.
We
It'd be good
already
for
have
the-
Leonard Fournette. It's Alvin Kamara.
Yeah, that's true, dude.
He is
Put
our
15 targets,
generation's
15 targets
Leonard
for
Fournette.
35 yards. Yeah.
And just
Perfect.
running him up the middle every other time. Yeah, that's Leonard Fournette.
Love it,
Yeah.
dude. Yeah, but
Love it.
maybe we'll sign. We'll see.
Yeah. Rod here, would you rather have Philly's D or Cleveland's D this week and the rest of the season? I'd say that Cleveland-Indianapolis game was pretty much an anomaly. Certainly with everything that happened. So I'm still on Cleveland here. They've got some pretty solid matchups as far as, especially the fantasy playoffs. Chicago, Houston, Jets, like sign me up for that. I'm taking Cleveland. They are a set for me. They're a set and forget.
Yeah. So
Well, and the thing with Cleveland too, I just want to throw this in here. The fact, even though they gave up as many points as they did, they still got sacks, they still got touchdowns, they still got turnovers.
Miles Garrett is still a damn animal.
beast, dude.
Yeah,
he
they're
almost
gonna do
he
that.
almost blocked that field goal and returned it for a touchdown himself, dude.
Yeah.
He's just a moose. And the other thing is that I love, they've already had their bye week, dude. Just leave them in there. You're good to go. And I'm sure that the guy with the Eagles dropped the Eagles because they were playing the Dolphins. So in that case, it seems like a pretty if it's got to be a shallow league if you're dropping Eagles D. You know what I mean? So if you got to pick up scrap for defenses later, then it shouldn't be too hard to do it. Eagles D is a team the D that I carry through bye weeks, which when you're playing the Dolphins, I consider that a bye week. But I wouldn't. In most of my leagues, I don't drop a defense like that. Do you guys?
I mean, if I had the room, like I'm not usually carrying more than one defense on my teams.
So if you have that's the other part is that I usually don't end up with the Eagles because I don't draft them early. So I don't have the 49ers defense because I wasn't the first guy to draft a defense because I'm amazing at this.
Obviously.
Well, and it depends on your how deep your bench is too.
Yeah.
Do you have places that you can afford to drop them, or do you have like a 4 or 5 person bench where you have to?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And then Rod here, trading a tight end, would you rather trade Kittle or Pitts in Dynasty, or keep both?
Keep Pitts, dude. Keep Pitts. What are you doing? Don't trade Pitts.
I traded him.
Why?
I trade him for Garrett Wilson straight up.
Yeah, okay. That's a good trade. That's a good trade. But the thing is, both of them are waiting for quarterbacks, man. And Pitts, he already has a 1,000-yard season at 21 years old. Travis Kelce didn't have a 1,000-yard season until he was 27. Zach Ertz has one 1,000-yard season at 28. This guy, if he plays out his entire contract and they pick up his 5th-year option, he'll still be 27 when he gets his second deal. So, this guy will be able to escape this situation, whether they get him a better quarterback or whether he has to shoot his way out of town with a trade the way A.J. Brown did, or whether he has to leave, just, wait for the contract to be up and leave. There will be better days, dude.
There will be many better days. Let's hit some of these questions in chat. Then let's build a showdown lineup here. Let's go Russ versus KC or Tyson Bagent at the Chargers this week. Russ.
Yeah, you got to go Russ.
The fact that we have to think about that should tell you all that we need to know about our confidence in old Rusty Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
By the way,
that was the thing. Bagent's percentage, completion percentage, was good, but it was real dink and dunk. Even against that matchup, I know that matchup's good, but you've got to go with the guy who's going to air it out. As bad as Wilson has been,
he threw for 162 yards. Let's not get carried away. They won the game, which is why he got the game ball and stuff, but it wasn't amazing, right?
Yeah.
Right. And Scampers did give us his answer. He'd rather eat a whole lemon, which I am okay with, by the way. 100% okay with that. As somebody who frequented Warhead Sours as a young
I think I could get away with it. Yeah. Would you rather eat a whole lemon or a whole onion, Britt?
I could do either. I don't care.
I'd rather do lemon.
Yeah, they're equal. You literally say you pick. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't mind.
That's wild.
Okay. Mark that down for the Expo next year. Moving on. Flex Ridley in a bounce back week or roll the hot hand in downs. That's a
This
spicy
is where we
meatball.
are.
Full PPR, I think it's just down straight up. I don't think I would think too much about it.
Yeah, I think so. It sucks. Because as soon as Zay Jones is supposed to be back too. So a little other curve thrown in there.
other. Are we dropping Dotson? He has been awful. Yes, we are dropping Jahan Dotson. The dream is dead. I got him
Get
for
some
10
targets
bucks in
this
Kings
week.
Classic, and I can't start him. He did. Things are a little
He didn't
better
do
this
anything
week.
with them.
No, he didn't.
So
Let's see. Steven, there is Demarcado or Henderson from the Rams. I have Kyron Williams on IR. Daryl Henderson, 100%.
Yeah.
I do like Demarcado too, but did you see that pass block that he never left? Like Daryl Henderson was great.
Right. You've got to remember there is a scary narrative for these teams that are like tanking on purpose. We saw the Dolphins do it when they were tanking for Tua. Is they run like live tryouts. So like they say, hey, you know what? You're going to play a whole game, and we're going to see if you're going to be part of the future of this team. The Dolphins famously did it with. We were all like, oh, Preston Williams, like he's playing every snap. And then one of the games, Isaiah Ford comes out and played 90% of the snaps, and we were like, wow, Isaiah Ford, he's the thing. And then they cut Isaiah Ford, and they said, we were just kidding. We just wanted to see if he was any good, and no, he's not. So we cut him. And just be careful with that, because like they could come out and say, hey, you know what? Demarcado's going to play this whole game. Don't be surprised if they at some point say, hey, you know what? Let's see what we have in Keontae Ingram, and he plays the whole game. So just be very careful. It's just speculation that they might do something like that. And I think Demarcado's an ad, but it's less likely a team. The Rams are actually trying to win, so they're going to use their best players. And I think Henderson is safer from that standpoint. So just keep that in the back of your mind. Sometimes teams do crazy stuff when they're doing a bridge year.
Absolutely.
Agreed.
We got Bucks Bills on tap for Thursday. Could be a sneaky matchup. Initial thoughts on the El Capitan.
We're going Kincaid there.
Of course.
Got to, dude.
Was there ever a
There was
a
never a
doubt?
question.
Got to, bro. Come on now. He's cheap too. I mean, not cheap, but like very reasonable.
He is very, yeah. If anybody knows about fairly reasonable, I would say it's me. So
when you use a guy like that as your captain, you can just start all the good players because you've already got your difference. You've already got your difference making play.
Right. So let's throw some guys in here. We all know we're kind of up against it here.
Josh Allen.
Yeah, we got him.
Mike Evans.
Mike Evans should go.
Do we want to avoid Diggs? Because the thing is, if Diggs outscores Kincaid,
I don't think he can.
I think that's the problem. If Diggs outscores Kincaid, then you lose to all the people that started Diggs as the captain instead of Kincaid.
Yeah.
So you'd have to be going cheap elsewhere with Tampa Bay and my Trey Palmer.
Yep. I tried to say it before you, but you said it faster.
Throw in one more person real quick.
Cade Otton plays like every single snap.
I like him.
And then
he can catch a random touchdown.
We can throw Evans in there.
I mean,
perfect. Yeah, love it.
How much money do we have left over with that?
2,100.
That's a lot of money.
The showdowns we've seen have
people, yeah.
They've left a lot of money.
Yeah.
So
that's true. Okay, get it in. We're gonna be so
we'll definitely be getting that in. Ready to finish 2,400th in the dime deck as usual. But gang, we're coming up against it. So look, Alarm Fantasy Football will be here in just a few minutes here. So stay tuned. Easy for me to say. Stick around for that. Coop, Britt, anything else before we see the airwaves to you, Coop?
I'm going to be on that show, so I'll let Britt say whatever she got to say.
Yeah, if you didn't get your questions answered on this show, just stick around and we'll get it in on Alarm Fantasy Football with Coop and Bender.
Absolutely. All right. For Britt, for Coop, Kevin Tompkins here. We will be saying doodles.